It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. It is your Feel Good Breakfast Show on this Wednesday morning. Welcome to it. Right now we get into really important conversation all around gender-based violence in South Africa, which isn't just a crisis, it is an epidemic that refuses to end. Now, despite years of awareness campaigns, activism, and promises of reform, women and children remain under constant threat in their homes and also their schools and communities. Now, reports of sexual assault, sexual violence, and femicide continue to rise, painting a stark picture of a country still battling deep-rooted cultural, social, and systemic problems. So we brought in beautiful guests today to unpack this all. They are working on the front line of this fight that needs to continue. We've got Tina Tiard coming back, founder and trustee of 1000 Women Trust, as well as Wendy Lavita, psychologist and founder of Beautiful Life Training and Community Development Association, serving families across the Western Cape. Now, together, they'll help us unpack what's still broken and what we need to do a little bit differently. Ladies, welcome, and thank you so much for being here. I mean, Tina, we just had this chat now about what can we do differently, because we have this conversation often, but I think it's time to kind of turn outrage into action. I think that's the sort of space we're in. But if we shine a spotlight on the current GBV statistics and the advocacy work that you do, what are we looking at?
Terrible. Yeah. Unfortunately, and the GBV is very, very rife in our communities. Women are suffering out there. And furthermore, the trauma afterwards, it's not really being treated. We've got this whole thing about mental health that we don't talk about. And then injuries that women suffer when they are in the situation. But we are trying very hard. And we've got safe rooms now in the communities where women themselves have given their rooms in their house so that others can wait there that first 12 hours. That's more critical than any other time.
It speaks to that Ubuntu. It speaks to it takes a village. It really does require other women to also step up and say, you know what, this is a safe haven and a safe space, which is exactly what you've done, Wendy. Let's talk a bit more about A Beautiful Life, which works very closely with communities in the Cape Flats, which it's necessary for vulnerable communities to experience safety. So what realities are you sort of facing on the ground? What's going on?
Right. You know, we work with families specifically and directly in the schools with children who come into the program via other organizations that are referred for counseling and support. So often I will find that, you know, a child is maybe having a problem at home, and I always say it's stemming from the parents and from the home. The example is set there, so that's probably where it could come from. So in the school setting where we have the bullying issue, and it's not only in the, you know, with the children, it happens at university level where I've been, you know, where I'm actually at higher education, where it doesn't come from the children, it comes from the educators, it comes from, you know, in between educators and, you know, supervisor and students, all of those. And violence is not necessarily physical, it can be mental abuse, it can be underlining and undermining a person, which happens often in the education sector, which I'm very concerned about.
Well, thank you for the work that you're doing, because often we don't think about that, hey? As an adult, you just kind of show up, go, okay, I must just deal with this. But it does cross over that line into a violent space. I'm going to come back to you, Tina, and talk a bit more about GBV, gender-based violence, and it being a pandemic almost in the country and even beyond. So what sort of systemic gaps are you seeing that needs to be closed?
Well, first of all, I really believe we have to look at the work between police and health and legal, because there are protocols that doesn't match up, and we really have to address that. We had a lovely conversation with 200 women last week, Friday, and most of them pointed out what happens at the police stations. You come there, you are treated very badly, and then your family say, no, give up, don't report, pull it back, you know. And then the courts, I mean, in South Africa, courts have got 85% conviction, but only 6% of the cases reach the courts. So it doesn't say much about our legal system either. And we definitely have to close those gaps. And just for me, most terrible is, for example, Tutuzela centers are only funded up to 7 o'clock in the evening. After that, they either close down or you have women who have to once again do unpaid work.
Right, which is not fair.
Yeah, it's part of the inequalities in our society. Women have to do that unpaid work.
Yeah, also because they know the necessity of it at the end of the day.
Yes.
All right, so Wendy, if we're not getting support from the systems that need to actually feed back into us, what does other support look like, especially when it comes to families of survivors? Well, how can they sort of tap into this beyond the crisis of help?
That's what Beautiful Life is really all about, forming collaboration between other organizations. So we will connect with schools, community organizations like NGOs, non-profit sector, civil society. We work specifically in the affluent areas. We have partnered with organizations like Affluent Advice Office, where people can go and find legal support. They can also talk to social workers, where we connect with them so that they're not isolated.
Beautiful. Guys, I just want to say thank you so much for the work that you do. It's absolutely beautiful. Prevention. Is there a way to even go about this conversation? Is there a way to prevent it? Whose responsibility is it at the end of the day? Tina, I can put this to you perhaps.
Yeah, I want to agree with Wendy here at schools. The bullying is terrible, and we know for a fact that a young person who bully others will become a perpetrator of something. So if we don't deal with the bullies and we don't provide them the support, specifically also very often it's a case of punishment instead of talking to that bully and giving them mental support.
The guidance.
Yeah,
yes.
so that we've got healing at school. I mean, it's a fact that the bully is usually being bullied in the community.
Hurt people.
Yeah. So we really have to address that. And then more men, we were talking about, more men is coming forward. There are a lot more good men in our communities, but they have to talk to boys. What is consent?
Right.
Your own body, you know, have respect for your own body, but have respect for the body of a woman. The men are stepping up, but we're asking them, come mobilize, stand up, talk to boys. Let's make a change.
I love that. And I love what you mentioned too, Wendy, about setting that example, because it really is about that at the end of the day. Ladies, thank you so much, and we wish you all the best in your work of advocacy. May you continue and be powered by the rest of us also supporting you in every way that we possibly can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
It's true, it is your feel-good breakfast show, Expresso, right here on S3, as we continue the conversation about gender-based violence this morning. Now, it doesn't just happen in headlines, it happens and shapes how women live their every single day lives. From the way that they travel to the way that they interact socially, fears honestly become part of their and our decision-making. But what would it take to move from surviving to actually living freely? Now, in this conversation, we've got Tina Tiat as well as Wendy Lavita, who share what needs to be changed in our systems and also the responsibilities on communities and our culture to finally end this epidemic. Ladies, thank you so much for still being here and still sticking around. I'll start with you, Wendy, talking a little bit more about, and I relate to this deeply, those unspoken rules that women live by just to make sure that we keep ourselves safe in society. What are some of those?
I think a lot of it is protective measures. You know, often two girls need to go to the ladies' room. You can't go by yourself.
Right.
There's those type of incidents where people disappear from the ladies' room, so you have to be protected. That's one measure. So you're in fear constantly, which is sad because you have to feel that you can, you know, be free and do things. Other examples would be taking a taxi. You know, you're providing a service, but you're not always sure whether you're going to be okay by yourself. And those are all those things that you need to consider when you're going out there. You're afraid to walk around at night in the city that's so beautiful. So there's always this constant fear, and you have to ensure that you're okay. That's one of the things, you know, you're constantly having to
consider.
Yeah.
It's a
And that's
scary thing. It
very
takes up
scary.
mental space as well. I can't just leave the house. I've got to think about A, B, C, D just in case things happen. Security measures like some pepper spray with me as well, just to make sure I'm safe. So I do wonder though, Tina, if we've become a little bit desensitized as a society as a whole to the traumas and the safety aspects that women have to consider when they go out. Where are we right now?
Yes, you're right. And it's also how we talk to our girls. They must check what they wear, you can't do this, you don't go there. But we don't talk to the boys. We talk to the girls about these things.
Sure.
And for me, the whole issue about the media, we always tell the stories of victims. And we don't concentrate on the stories of survivors, how they got out of the situation.
Yeah.
So people just hear violence, violence, violence. And as you know, in our society, most people, especially men, respond with violence. If my child is being bullied, I tell him to hit back,
Right.
stand up,
Yeah. Be a
go,
man.
be a man. Cry boys don't cry. And it's all that toxicity that we all keep on in the communities.
Yeah.
We have to make it different.
Yeah.
We mustn't toughen our boys.
Sensitize them
Yeah.
to what is happening.
Yeah.
I think emotional intelligence also goes a long way
Yes.
to understanding where women are at and also the system that we live in and how it supports women and doesn't support women in that sort of sense. And now when it comes to the stigma, this is a big one, Wendy, especially facing women who have been abused and now they've come out of the situation, but there's still a little bit of, something attached to the context out of which they come from. So how do we sort of shift this culturally? How do we talk about abusers, survivors?
I think, stigma it's something that it's societal. It's people constantly rejecting others for lots of reasons. It's not only that you've been abused. It can be just because you don't belong. So those are all the aspects that affect how you engage with others. And I think we need to come to a space where we start to accept people for who they are.
Yeah.
That's the big thing, So it's not about your appearance. It's not about your education. It's or what has happened to your past. And I always say it's not where you come from. It's where you're going.
Yeah.
So that is important, and I think the thing about stigma is also that we need to look at the family, again, the setting. I'm big on parenting, and I think that parents play a big role in how they engage with children, and that develops over a period of time. So you become an adult and your behavior is really directly a result of what you've actually been modeled. So it's not that I'm engaging in a certain way because that is just your personality.
Right.
It's really modeled behavior.
Yeah.
And so we need to change what we're actually showing out there. We need to show people acceptance, we need to show respect, and that's a big one.
I often think about when raising children, we're not raising children, we're raising adults,
Yeah.
essentially, to be prepared in the world and make sure that they are equipped to be able to engage other human beings, because that's what we are at the end of the day. Now, when it comes to mobilization, Tina, what sort of things have you learned along the way in terms of sustaining mobilization? Because, people can get tired a little bit or desensitized, like we had mentioned.
Yeah, no more marches.
You know what I'm saying? We've walked
no more
enough.
street corners. No more. But I think the national dialogue is important because dialogue makes change.
That's
and
true.
then also to bring that dialogue into the workplace. And that's something we're trying to concentrate on now. What happens in the workplace? Because we don't talk about it. And we've seen so many court cases now where leaders and government members have been accused of things like sex for jobs.
Right.
And so what happens in the workplace? I also have noticed a lot of new issues coming. Suddenly the packers at the shopping centers are now young males. So women has lost those jobs. It used to be traditionally a woman's job. So we were trying to change tradition.
You're
But
right.
what
Now we've
happened
gone the other way.
Now we've lost the space. So it's about holding the line in some places, not always just pushing forward, but also holding the line, our gains, to celebrate that and to go forward.
That's a lovely reminder. Hold the line, celebrate the gains, but also push to where we need to go. All right, Wendy, from your experience, how are things in the communities, the Cape Flats, Athlone, the areas that you work in, things like unemployment and poverty, how do those sort of contribute to GBV?
So on the Cape Flats specifically, unemployment is very high. We have 1 in 4 children is raised by a single parent.
Sure.
So those children come to school without a meal. They don't have a uniform. They often don't go to school because they don't have shoes or because they just don't belong.
Yeah.
So that is one of the big reasons why children often aren't accepted, why there's bullying and why there's rejection.
Right.
So that is a big problem, and moms who don't have jobs are ending up in the shopping mall with the children, asking people to buy them food. You might come across a lady that comes across and she says, will you pay for the eggs or the bread in the shop? And they are told to leave the store. And that breaks my heart because, you know, if you don't have a job and you don't have food, how do you survive? And you can't live off 300 Rand roughly, or as a pensioner. There are pensioners also out there looking for food. And they also become involved in different practices which you may frown upon, but that is because of a lack of
survival.
It's a survival.
300 Rand is nothing. It's something that nobody could, in fact, survive on. So kudos to all the single moms out there, the pensioners that are also looking after families and children. And thank you once again to you, Wendy and Tina, for being here today. I think the important thing is not where do we go from here. It is, of course, how do we start now? How do we mobilize? How do we take action from all the conversations and the dialogues that we've had? And we hope that this has enlightened you a bit, Mzansi, and also empowered you to make a change in your life and your communities today.